Hello. I think I'm live streaming. Surprise. It's Sunday morning. I think I'm live streaming now for sure. Surprise. It's Sunday morning, January 21st. And this is hello. I see some people are here. Feel free to say hi in the comment area if you want to say hi. I'm Sarah. You know me, right? You should know me if you're here. Welcome to this little coffee chat situation. Hi, Samantha and Dana. Thank you for saying hello. I'm here this morning, literally just to have a little coffee chat. I've got a topic in mind I'm going to talk about. And also, I want to give everybody the lay of the land of what's going on in TSE land this coming week. We've had some questions from some of our members about how we're using the planner or how they can use it. And so I wanted to talk about that, but really just come and say hello. So I've not been really like teaching classes recently. I'm working on a project behind the scenes, another book we're putting out, which we're really excited about. And I've been head down in that project, and I'm supposed to be head down in it all month long, but I was feeling disconnected and was like, well, I'm going to come say hello to everybody on this Sunday morning. I've got my coffee in hand and, we're going to chat. We can chat about the things. So good morning, Christina and Wendy and Kendra. It's nice to see you all here. Thanks for hanging out. All right. First things first, I want to give you all a little bit of a reminder of all the things that are happening in TSE world this coming week and coming up for everybody who's in programs or just hanging around so that you know what resources are available to you all the time. Again, I'm going to just give you a rundown about some tips for using our planner if you have yours and you're like kind of not sure what to do with it. And also, I'm going to talk today about why witchcraft, why witchcraft, why the word witch, why we do this and what it means for some idea of what it means for me, and how that changes over time and how, to think about it in your life, maybe, or maybe not, up to you, whatever works for you. All right. So things coming this week on deck that you want to know about. Remember, we do send our magic mail email every Sunday, and we always include in there a try this activity and also letting you know what's going on with the moon for the week ahead. And then I write a kind of letter style email every Sunday as well. So I write those and I love writing them. And you can find those every Sunday in your inbox. Things on the agenda for this week. If you're in the Enchanted Journey membership, there is book club with Anna on Monday night. And on Thursday, Anna's hosting a full moon ritual call, co-witching. So you can find those in your events section to make sure that you aren't missing out on those. And if you ever need help finding anything, remember to go to the Team TSE Posts in your group for Enchanted Journey. Also the welcome section in the class site. And of course, you can always reply to any of the emails that we send you also, and Jenna can help point out the different things for you. Anna has also been hosting in Enchanted Journey, sort of a walkthrough of the mindset magic pathway, the mindset magic lesson from Enchanted Journey. And she's been posting prompt style posts, which Dana, I see in the comments here this morning. Dana, you've been participating in those, if I'm not mistaken. And it's been really fun to watch you participate in there. And so she's kind of walking you through the mindset magic pathway in the community group. So if you want to check that out, you can check that out as well. That's what's going on with Enchanted Journey. If you are in Magical Self-Care, our Magical Self-Care Challenge, Kelly, my co-teacher, my assistant teacher in her own right, is hosting a live call for the Magical Self-Care Challenge on Monday also. So Monday's a fun day around here. We got Anna with book club in the membership. We've got Kelly with Magical Self-Care on Monday. And then we have, that is, I think, it for live streams this week. If you are in Holistic Witchery, the Astrology Fundamentals unit kicks off in 1 week. So the orientation or welcome call for that is Monday, the 29th. And if you're not in that group, Anna will be getting you, or Anna and Jenna will be getting you added in there this week. So I think I should not speak before I know what's going on, but I'm pretty sure they'll be getting you in there because it starts in a week. So Holistic Witchery, you're in a little bit of an off season. Kelly just finished Conjuring Abundance with y'all, and you can find her posts in the Holistic Witchery community section if you want to check those out. What else is happening? The next Magical Self-Care Challenge begins again February 9th. So if you know anybody who might want to join us in that, grab the link, invite a friend. Everything is better with friends. Let's spread the magic far and wide. If you're in our mastermind, I've been posting asking for those of you who have a small business or want one to let me know more about that so I can best serve you. And then also I've asked about what you're tolerating lately. So be sure to go and respond to that. Okie dokie, artichoke. And if you're in the mastermind and you've not responded to Kelly's private DMs for your accountability, go do that. That's what you're there for. That's, I think, the lay of the land of what's going on right now in all of our community groups. And remember just to hit reply to any emails if you're like, okay, what should I prioritize? Which thing should I do first? You can always email in and we will help you with that. And definitely check those Team TSE post sections and the welcome sections of your class groups, because we do try to keep them fresh and let you know what's going on there as well. As you can imagine, trying to communicate to thousands to 2,000 people in classes on the internet is not the easiest. There's not a strategy that just works. So we try to get in different areas, and just let us know if you need help. All right, that is what is happening. Now, I had in my head today thinking a lot about witchery and witchcraft and why we do what we do and why we talk about witchcraft and why the Sisters Enchanted exists. So if you don't know my background, I'm not going to give you like the whole story today, but I have been working or personally utilizing metaphysical practices and nature spirituality in my own life for over 20, probably 25 years now. And on a personal level, that's always been part of my life, right? And I had this moment in my past career. I was an educator. I had a business where I worked with kids and adults both who were neurodivergent. So people who really struggled, kids who struggled to learn in the classroom, and then adults who struggled to just like function at work. Like classic, somebody had a 40-hour a week job. Actually, I had a client once who was a physician, but just was having to be at work all the time because they couldn't organize their notes and like couldn't get that administrative part done and sorted. So they were having to go in on weekends and do this because like they were neurodivergent and just couldn't manage it. So we worked on executive function skills, how to organize. And one day I had a client, like a young man, and his mother was getting out her checkbook to pay me. And she saw when she pulled it out, and I had been working with this family for a long time, she pulls it out on this one particular day, and all these yellow sticky notes start falling out of her wallet. Now, of course, in my head, my remembrance of the story, it's just like a waterfall of sticky notes. In reality, it was probably like 4, 5. But the way I see it in my mind, it's just these sticky notes are like pouring out. But they're these yellow sticky notes. And like a sticky note's been around a while because when the back part of the sticky gets like dirty and stuff stuck to it. So they look like that, and they have affirmations on them. And this woman was going through a divorce, like feeling really upside down about serving her son and what were the next steps and what was she going to do? Meanwhile, she hadn't worked herself in like 25 years and needed to get a job. And I just saw this person and was like, I need to serve women. Like I need to serve women because this poor woman is helping everybody in her life and drowning. And she has nothing for herself at this point in time. And she has lost her identity so much that she has no identity outside of being this kid's mom. And this husband who asked for a divorce, his wife, she has no identity outside of that. She had no hobbies outside of that. She had no relationships outside of that. And I really saw this happen again and again and again with more and more and more women, and the moms in particular. And then the women who came to me as clients who were adults, they were also women who, if they struggled to organize themselves at work and they were having to work overtime, they were also upside down at home. and they just didn't advocate for themselves. They felt like they were failing because they couldn't do it all. And I was like, oh my gosh, we got to switch the way we think about ourselves around because nobody does it all. Nobody does it all. People look at me and often think like, people ask me, Sarah, how do you do all this? And, like I do a lot. And it's because I have strategies and systems and ways that work for me that I've developed over 10 years of being self-employed. It didn't happen overnight. This is 10 years in that I have these systems and strategies, but I also have tons of help. I hire help when I couldn't afford to hire help. I asked friends and family, like, hey, can you hang out for just 45 minutes so that I can get this one thing done? Or if I do this for you, will you do this for me? And there's lots of help, and you don't always see that, right? But we as women have these stories where something must be wrong with us if we can't just do it all, if we can't just figure it out, if we can't organize this and organize that and take care of these people and like find time to take care of ourselves and, look the right way and talk the right way and make the right kind of food and go on the right kind of trips and parent the right way and relationship the right way and friendship the right way. And oh my God, it sucks so bad. So this all comes to witchery and the history of witchcraft, right? The history of witchcraft. So a lot of people come to us, and some of you might be watching here today, who are really interested in developing a spiritual practice. And I love that. I have a spiritual practice. I love crystals. I love candles. I love tarot. I love the moon. There is nothing I like seek out moments of connection with the universe and nature and collective experiences that take my breath away and feel like I could just cry in disbelief that I have this opportunity to walk on this earth and experience these moments of utter just expansion and delight and like this energy racing through me. I live for that. And that's all part of my spiritual practice also. So it's not just crystals, it's not just candles. It is this seeking of how do I spend my time where I feel alive and I feel connected, right? And I feel like the buzzing possibility running through me. And that's part of my spiritual practice also. Now, witchcraft, I think, gets confused with religion very often. And there's paganism, Wicca. There are religions that utilize what we would say is witchcraft practices. Now, I would argue anybody who's been to a Catholic church would also say that there's a lot of witchcraft that they would never say is witchcraft, right? They're going to be like, witchcraft is bad. And my point in saying this is it's not the thing that makes you a witch. It's not the thing you're doing that makes you a witch. Ritual and practice are human experiences available to anybody. And then what you apply to it and why you do it and your belief system around it. Now that's a different thing. So witchcraft and the practices of ritual and the practices of using incense and, chanting and repeating affirmations and using a tool for guidance, that's something that we see throughout all of culture and throughout all of people. And when we look at witches historically, these are people who were different. They were people who didn't comply. They were often women. They were often older, single women, elderly women who lived alone, spinsters, cat ladies, as we might call them in our modern society, right? And I got to thinking of this because I was visiting my grandparents. So I help care for my grandparents. I moved them last summer. So they've lived here a year and a half now. They lived in Ohio. I live in Connecticut, and I moved them to live near me. And my mom, who lives here also, I'm the power of attorney person for my grandparents. And so I moved them to live near me. My grandfather has dementia, and it's escalating. For the first time, he didn't know who my grandmother was recently. That was really hard on all of us. He often gets very confused about who my husband and I are. And my kids, and it's, it's tough. It's really tough. And he gets angry and frustrated, and it's so sad to witness. And I was at their, where they live. They live in a senior living apartment building yesterday. And there are mostly single women who live there, who are in their 80s, 90s. And there are several who are over 100. I love to say people go there to live. People do not go to this community to die. They are going there to live. There are at least 4 that I can name that are over 100. And there's 150 residents. So there's probably more. But they're mostly single women. And then there's couples, and then the lowest amount of people who live there are single men. And it's so interesting to me when I see the older gentlemen who are in their 80s, 90s walking around, right? And granted, it's like a ratio thing. It's a lot of women and very few men. But when we talk about these older gentlemen, it's these bachelors. They're bachelors. Some of them who never married. They're bachelors. Oh, poor him. His wife passed. Oh, poor him. His wife's in the because it's a senior living. It's not assisted living facility. His wife's in the assisted living facility, like in the next town over. Poor this man, right? Versus we look at the women there and we use different language. We talk about older women, about, this cat lady stereotype, this spinster stereotype, this how lonely they must be, these sad lonely women. These sad lonely women. But these men are like these bachelors, and like, oh, what an exciting life they must have lived because they never married. Or, oh, his wife is so sad, she's in this other place. And it's when I think about that, I think about these women from history who were called witches and then burned and executed and exiled and jailed for 10 years with no food because they were just women that society did not like. Society was like, I don't like that you are not married. I do not like that you will not give us your land. I do not like any of this about you. And forget about if you're like not only a woman, but you're a woman of another marginalized group. Oh my goodness, then you're definitely going to be a witch if you live in the wrong place and you say the wrong thing, right? So when I think about what it means to be a witch and I think about witchery, I think about the power that comes in standing in your own authenticity, the power that comes in being true to yourself, the power that comes in looking outside and knowing that you are never alone because you're supported by nature and the rhythms of the universe and like this energy that flows through us all. If only we're open to receiving it and seeing it for what it is, instead of defaulting to this story of, well, if I change and I grow and I be a different way, I'm going to stand out. I'm going to be visible. And it's not okay to stand out and be visible. It's not okay to be different because then people will look at me and question me and I might say the wrong thing. We see this from community members all the time about outgrowing relationships and outgrowing family members. And it will keep us from being the people we want to be, which is, I think, the most powerful form of witchcraft, is standing in who you are, in your truth, in your authenticity, without dimming it down because it bothers somebody else. And it is not your problem. Somebody else in your life is bothered by who you are. That has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the other people who are bothered with who you are. So I look at the word witch and I look at witchcraft as being completely separate from religion personally. And if you might be curious, like, Sarah, what is your religion? And I would say nature spirituality is, I guess, what I would say. I grew up Christian. My mom's a Sunday school teacher. And all honestly, my kids are at Sunday school with my mom right now, mostly because they are homeschooled and I see my kids all the effing time. And my mom takes them on Sunday mornings and they go to a very liberal church that I feel very comfortable with. And I'm like, you take them. They can have their cookies. They do their coloring pages. All is well. All is good in the world, right? And I go and I watch them in their little church play every year. And that my kids are very well aware of my belief system. We talk about all religions as mythology in our house, and that we accept different belief systems because one belief system is not right and better than the other. We also talk about, why people spread their belief system, and we look at studies about how people with a belief system often live longer than people who don't. And we talk about all of that. So if you're wondering my religious background right now, I was baptized Lutheran, raised in a congregational Christian household, and nature spirituality, I think, is where it's at for me. I think that's where it's always been, and that's where it will be for me. There's nothing to me like standing at the bottom of a tree and looking up at the top of it and how big it is and how tall it is and how strong it is. I'm looking out one at my window right now. And like, if that is not some kind of universe or God or deity or spirit in action, I don't know what is, because that tree has been through at least 2 hurricanes since I've lived in this house, and it has not swayed once. It has not swayed once. And that tree never tries to shrink itself down. This tree, I've got 2 of them. Kim's been to my house. She's in the comments right now. The 2 big trees in my front yard. Our septic tank, we have septic tanks where I live, really gross, right? But anyway, it's right between these 2 beautiful maple trees. And those maple trees give 0 fucks about what space they are taking up. We have to dig their roots out of the septic tank like 3 times a year. They hang over the driveway and fall on our camper, and they just grow. And they're like, we are here to take up our space. We are here to grow. We're here to do what we're doing. Regardless of the barriers that you put in our way, we are going to do our thing. And I love these trees for it. I love that I get to look out my window. And if that is not power, and that's not a lesson, and that's not universal energy and standing in your truth, then I don't know what is. So when I think about this idea of being a witch, I ask everybody who's watching this live or on a replay, Sunday morning conversation, right? Sunday morning conversation. What does this mean for you? And when we think about these people, you know, when you claim a word for yourself, it's really doing an injustice if you don't think about the people who suffered because of that word, right? Who suffered because of that word. And which is one of the things I love about this church, actually, that my mom goes to. I have been there, and they talk about that. They talk about Christianity, and they talk about the people who are dying in the name of Christianity and wars right now. And they discuss it openly. Like, they don't shy away from it. They discuss it. And when we talk about the word witch, the people who died, who were not witches, like they were not lighting candles and pulling tarot cards like we are. Tarot cards didn't even exist. Like, these are people just trying to live their life, and like, you know, regular people trying to probably pay a tax bill that they couldn't afford. And then it's a single lady, you know, who's not willing to move out of her house. Oh, you're a witch. Like, it's your fault. It didn't rain last week. In you go, in the dungeons. So when we think about, like, what does it mean to claim the word for yourself? Well, the people who truly suffered at the hands of this word, I think it's important to keep that in mind. And then it's separate, you know, if your religion is Wicca, or your religion is, you know, paganism, like that's perfect. Like, that's perfect for you. I love that for you. And also think about the people who were called witches and who suffered because of it. And so what does that mean for you to choose to say, I'm a witch, or I engage in witchery? Some people are not there yet. They're not like, I'm not calling myself a witch. And that is fine. Also, that's fine by me. You're welcome here. But like, wherever level you are, why does it matter to you? What brought you here? What is it? Like, what brought you to this point in time? And what is keeping you from holding your peace, standing in your greatest authenticity, and finding something that feels alive and like this radiating connection just zooming through your body as often as possible? Because that is, I mean, that's experience. That's this reminder that there is something beautiful out there. Listen, I got to tell you, you're probably all in for these like big messages, that these big thoughts coming from me, because Pluto just moved to Aquarius. My moon is in Aquarius and my Jupiter is in Aquarius, and it's in my 8th house. And that's that death, sex, and taxes house. So like taboo sort of things. Right. And yeah, Pluto, the planet of power, our little dwarf planet there, I think is, it's stirring stuff up for me. It's stirring stuff up for me. You know, and then what do you do when you want to grow and other people don't grow with you in your life? Like, that's the next question. And how do we view women who are different? Even today, you know, I go to this senior living place, right? And these women they must be lonely, versus we look at like Ted, who's 92 and almost burnt the whole place down not too long ago. But that's a whole other story for another day. Then like calling my grandmother, just like, I just happened to call her, and the alarms are going off, and she's like, Sari, she calls me Sari, there's a fire. The fire trucks are here. Oh my gosh, there's smoke everywhere. I have to go. I'm like, I feel like I need more details. But Ted, you know, who lights the place down almost, is like, oh, well, you know, Ted's a bachelor. Ted was never married. He probably just like messed up the oven. Like, what? That is no excuse. Ted does not get treated differently than like Betty down the hallway and Henrietta, who's 102. And like, you know, that's not the way this goes, people. It's not the way it goes. And we got to consider this for ourselves. Where are we holding ourselves back? Because we're also afraid of labels people might put on us. We're afraid of being the crazy lady. We're afraid of being I don't know, if you're a mom with young kids, the mom who looks different. You're afraid of people suffering because of your choices. I mean, that's something I'd be lying if I said that didn't cross my mind. You know, I'm on the internet talking about witchcraft pretty frequently, and it hasn't crossed my mind that how could this negatively impact my kids in some way, because somebody, you know, thinks poorly of me, and then that somehow impacts my children. I mean, people have mailed letters to my house with like religious zest and sent me awful things, and like, could this impact them? And so we will hold ourselves back too, just out of fear because of these other terms. And I love to use the word witch because it reminds me of all of the people, past, present, who are just different than what the mainstream should, quote unquote, look like. And then they're othered, and they are somehow, you know, ousted by society or put on the fringes because of that. And then we're all reminded not to step too far out of the center, because if you step too far out of the center, things get really hard for you. And that's why I love the word witch. And that's why I embrace that word witch for myself. Because it's also a reminder to me to do the things that feel different. And when it feels lonely, because it does feel lonely sometimes when you're doing things that other people in your life aren't doing, to take care of yourself and find community. We've got great community here, of people who are also on different journeys, different religious backgrounds. We've got people in our community who come from a variety of religious backgrounds, and different belief systems, and just different ways of being, and different parts of their journey, also like different stages on that journey. I was also reminded of this because a couple weeks ago, I went to see Teresa McNaughton, who's one of our community members, her art show. She had her art in an art gallery, and it happened to be in a town I used to live in when I was in college. And I was like, yes, I'm going to come see this. And I have some of her, she gifted me some beautiful artwork here, but like half her paintings are critters, and then half of them are people, I think. Well, at least in the art show, it seemed like it was a good mix. But when I was looking around, Teresa does a fair amount of paintings of women that are just like, of like these portrait style, I guess you would say, right? And she said something to me that really stuck out. She said that she uses, I think, if I'm Teresa, if you watch this and I'm not correct, you know, definitely correct me on the replay, but I think she uses references for her animals. And then she said that the women all come from her imagination. And that has lingered in my mind since she said it, because who we are comes from a reference, or it comes from our imagination. Think about that for a minute. Who you are right now. I say this in my book, Born Magic. So if you're in magical self-care, you got a copy of that as a PDF book. So go read it. Who you are right now is created by all of your experiences to date, all of the stories that have been told to you to date. So you have been made up of references. Who are you when you create who you are from your imagination? Who are you then when you think, who am I from my imagination? Versus who are you from the references that you've seen and then created who you are? Now that's magic. Yeah, Kim's saying imagining is the magic. Imagining is the magic. Visioning is the magic. The feeling is the magic. I was at a hockey game recently, and like, this should tell you something about me. I love nature and I love hockey. So I don't know what that says about me, except if you've never watched a hockey game, they have like a penchant for violence. And I'm like, yes, like it moves fast. You just never know what's going to happen. The whole game can turn around in the last 2 minutes. Anyway, and I was there, and I was at this hockey game, and I had the same feeling that I get when I climb a mountain and stare out at the landscape around me. And I'm just like, this is what life is about, is feeling connected and alive, and like I can just breathe magic out my mouth and create the life I want to live. Now that's the power of being a witch, right? So I got that in my head, seeing Teresa's artwork, that Teresa's here. Hi, Teresa. I was sharing your art, Teresa, and how you mentioned to me, I believe that you use references when you paint your animals, but that you said that the women were all from your imagination. And I was telling everybody that, are you creating yourself from references, or are you creating yourself from your imagination? And I was thinking that Teresa, based on hanging out with you. Is Teresa's lovely. Also, if you, you're in Enchanted Journey, Holistic Witchery, all the places, Teresa's there. Say hi to her. I had lunch with Teresa and her husband, and they're delightful people. So I love when we get to like actually connect with people from behind the screen. And Beth says you love hockey too. And Kim's saying, yeah, she does. A good brawl is a passion. One of these days, I'll tell you all my bar fight story, but that's not for today. That is not for today. I'm a mysterious person. I'll meditate with the best of them and I'll get in a bar fight, it seems. Anyway, again. All right. So things we've talked about so far on our Sunday morning chat. I ran through what's coming up in the programming. I gave a fiery, passionate talk about what it means to be a witch. And the last thing I want to tell you before I leave today, oh my gosh, I have so many stories I could tell you about me, and that would leave you being like, Sarah, that's interesting. I'm a multifaceted person, y'all. Multifaceted, like a beautiful diamond. Multifaceted diamond. Your planner, if you have the planner, questions I get from people are what's the best way to use it? So remember that there is a QR code, if you have the physical one, that you can scan and you can get some video tutorials. Anna did link it up in the Enchanted Journey membership too. But if you have the printable version or the even printed, you could just use your phone like on another screen and scan the QR code and you'll get all the videos. So there are some videos in there for you. If you're in Enchanted Journey, Kelly did a ritual with the new moon and also using it as a grimoire. So go check that out too. Because I homeschool, I take care of my grandparents, I run a business, I rely on a digital calendar like 100,000%. I often will print out hourly planning pages if I'm really trying to structure like a very busy time period in my life. And then I put it all in a digital calendar because I will forget. So I get reminders on my Apple Watch, my iPhone, my computer, reminders galore to keep me on track. So I don't use my planner as like a what am I doing at what time planner. I use mine more as a to-do list kind of brain dump situation. I also use it for my energetic tracking. If I pull a tarot card during the day, I will record that. And then of course my lunar tracking and my habit tracking. So my habit tracking, I do on here. Sorry, I'm trying to keep some of my information personal over here. I'll tell you about my bar fight one day, but I can't tell you everything in my life. So my habit tracking on the bottom. And one of my goals or my habits, I guess, things that I'm tracking right now is how much protein I eat. I'm in my fitness era of life. And so I also I keep like a little running list down the left side of how much protein I've eaten throughout the day. I do carry mine, mine's always with me because I work from home. So it works out that way. And then of course my lunar wheel where I track every day. Now I get a lot of questions about how to use the wheel. I typically write just a quick note. So like, for example, one day this month, this cycle, I had like my whole body just hurt and I don't really know, I didn't do anything in particular. I was just so achy. And so I wrote that down. It was like a productive work day. My body hurt all day. Like I just wrote that down. I'll write down, there was this past week on Monday, we were leaving to drive to New Hampshire to stay for a few days. And we have this plug thing in our truck that we plug like a kid's iPad into. And anyway, it like sparked and flamed real quick and then smoked. And we had to pull over and my husband like yanked it out and threw it in the snow and it was all good. But that was on Monday. And then not yesterday. So what was yesterday? Saturday. So then Friday, my husband was heating up oil in a cast iron pan, olive oil. And it like caught fire and it was 3 feet flames, 3-foot flames, and our whole house smoked up instantly. My daughter was like, should we go outside? And I looked at my husband and I could tell he was going to like act fast and take the pan outside. So it was fine. And I was like, no, just let dad do it. Anyway, so you better believe that I marked that on my lunar tracker. We had like 2 fire instances in 1 week. Like, what is that all about? But I wrote it down and I marked it, like I back marked it because I didn't initially in my tracker, right? And then, of course, I put my tarot card spreads or pulls in here for the new moon and full moon, and I just sort of write on them. But what I do is I come back to this. So every day I will look back at what like for the new moon, what my new moon, like we're still in the first 2 weeks of the lunar cycle. So then I look back every day at what I wrote to remind myself of what it is that I want, because it's so easy to get distracted in daily life by everything that happens in life, right? So then I read back, and then I might make a little note to myself to, like recenter for the day and come back to that intention, because it's really, even for me, like and I do this, I teach this, and it's so easy for me to write down an intention or do a new moon card spread and then just like forget that it ever happened. And it's easy for all of us. So that's how I use mine. And it really becomes more of a, as Kelly talked about, like your own grimoire for the year or book of shadows for the year. And mine becomes this sort of journal of experience and energy and highlights. And I can look at what's happening with me. I track my menstrual cycle in here also. My menstrual cycle is pretty short. So this was last cycle. And so far this cycle, nothing yet, but that's because it was like twice in the last cycle. So I track that just to keep eyes on that, because I'm at the, stage where it expands and contracts and expands and contracts and just likes to play games with me. So yeah, that's how I use mine. And then I do use it though. I don't use it for calendaring per se, but I do use it as like a kind of brain dump to-do list each day. So the things that I need to get done go on there. And that helps me to connect, back to my intention, because what am I doing today? Does that connect to my intention and my goals, right? Let's see here. Beth's asking, are there colors that associate with the different phases of the 5 eyes? Oh, I love that question. So I would align them with the elements. So intention would be, you ready for this, Beth? I'm going to say it, but really just remember the elements. And if you look at the 5 eyes on the spiral, they align to the elemental points also. So intention, north, earth, green, integrate, air, east, yellow, insight, south, fire, red, ideate, west, water, blue. And then for intuition, that would be spirit, universal source energy. And that could be like a gold, a gray sort of thing. Glitter. Is glitter a color? Glitter pen. Sparkle. Shimmer. Yeah. So they align with the elemental energies, Beth. All right. Well, there you go. I will recap quick. If you're in Enchanted Journey, the membership, you've got Book Club Monday if you're participating in that. You've got, that's a live Zoom call. Thursday is a full moon Zoom call. If you're in Magical Self-Care, the challenge, there is a call on Monday for that, a Zoom call. Remember, there's replays for everything. And then if you're in Holistic Witchery, the Astrology Fundamentals sessions kick off January 29th with a orientation. If you're not in Holistic Witchery, it is our core program where we teach all the like witch foundations, also our exclusive to us 5-eye system, which is what Beth is asking about. It's really like it's kind of a self-coaching thought work system, but also to help you, it's an expansion system to help you expand what you'd like in your life energetically. We teach that in there. Astrology Fundamentals, Conjuring Abundance is all included in this one bundle of classes of Holistic Witchery. And the Astrology Fundamentals section kicks off again soon. And I think that those were all the live things that are happening at the moment. And if you're in Mastermind, remember to respond to Patty's DMs. And also I'm asking you about what you've been tolerating over in the chat group so that we can get you some coaching on that as well. All right, then. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for hanging out. If you came late, we talked about the word witch a lot at length. So go watch that, because there is definitely some thought-provoking moments in there And also, if you have your planner, I gave you some tips on how to use this. And Cassie says, first time I've watched anything on here, definitely be watching more carefully. Well, hi, Cassie. Thanks for watching. I don't normally do live streams on here. I have this like, I don't know. I was thinking about Teresa and how she imagines these people. And then I was thinking about how everybody was talking about Ted at the senior living and how he's this poor bachelor. And then I was like, poor bachelor, like spinster women were just convicted of witchcraft left and right for hundreds of years. Shall we ignore that while we coddle Ted? Like, that's what I was thinking. And then I was thinking about how I haven't been on camera in like a month because I'm working on a book project that I'm supposed to have done by the end of this month. But, you know, fingers crossed. So whatever your method of sending energy or prayers is, do that thing, because I'm not sure I'm going to get it done. And anywho, I wanted to say hi, and I was thinking about these things, and I was like, I'm going to come say hi, and we're going to talk about the things, and we're going to get going here. So, all right. And if you're not in our magical self-care challenge, the next one starts February 9th. And that's a great place to start with us if you are totally new here also. All right, y'all. Have a great day, and I will see you around. Thanks for being here. And I guess that's it. Okay.